I think God and Moses both just have enormous respect for each other.
White Gladiator has that big striped spear at the neck.
Look, the judges are nodding. Even the Egyptian judge is impressed.
Until recently, you claimed that the Earth revolved around the sun.
Welcome to History Bites. I'm Rick Green. When grunge rocker Kurt Cobain took his own life back in 1994, authorities were worried that some of his Generation X fans might do a kind of copycat kamikaze. Kids today. When I was young, rock stars were dropping like flies, didn't bother us a bit. Now, at the time of Cobain's death, experts were popping up on the tube talking about something called the Werther effect. I did a little digging. Turns out this has happened before. The Werther effect refers to a phenomenon from the late 1700s. Back then, lovesick teenagers were being driven to self-destruction by a book called The Sorrows of Young Werther. Teens dressed up like the main character, and some even went so far as to reenact the book's final chapter. I won't give it away, but it ends with a bang. So imagine if television had been around back then to cover or exploit the story of Teenage Wasteland and Generation MLXXX.
Hi! I'm Fritz Berger. And I'm Klaus Wienerspitzel from the United Federation of Werther fans. And this is the Rosie O'Donnell Show. On today's show,
Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. We're talking Werther with Johann Goethe.
and now, here's Rosie!
Hey, Klaus and Fritz, how's it going with you guys?
Awesome.
Real good, Rosie. Now, you're both members of the Goethe fan club, the United Federation of Werthers. You gotta be excited.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, wow. Tell us about these outfits you got on there.
Well, we are both dressed as Werther, the heroic lead character from Goethe's book, The Sorrow of Young Werther.
Sure, the blue coat and yellow pants, just like Werther wore.
Yeah, it's the story of a young man called Werther. And he falls in love with this girl, Lotta. And when he realizes that he can't have her, he decides to take his own life with his own hands.
Yeah, Lotta spurns him, so Werther shoots himself in the skull with a pistol. Guess you could say, it was his Lotta in life. That one always kills at the conventions.
The name.
Not as much as the book does.
That's a good one, Rosie.
I mean, guys, this whole thing with Goethe and his book, that's a really big thing with you worthies.
We don't like to be called worthies.
Yeah, that's derogatory.
Yeah, we prefer the more dignified Werthers.
Live long posthumously.
And you guys are gonna get to talk to him.
Seriously?
Seriously.
Cross your heart?
Wish you were dead?
Stick a pistol to your head?
All of that except the pistol part. Okay, gang, say hello to Johann the Bandführer.
Good evening, I'm Greta Van Succinct. Tonight, novelist and playwright Wolfgang von Goethe is in the news over another suicidal suitor. Now some are asking, should writers be accountable for their words? Is Goethe legally and or morally responsible for any actions that may be inspired by his words? Even if someone misinterprets the meaning of what has been written and commits a crime or does evil, should the author be blamed? Tonight's Flashpoint, culpability, responsibility, and the written word. I'll be joined by Reverend Reinhard of Rothenburg and Thomas Paine, political radical. Mr. Paine, your writing has inspired revolutions, violence, and revolt. The anarchy and bloodshed in France, the so-called Reign of Terror, could be blamed on you. then, Reverend Reinhard, you feel that Mr. Goethe is morally responsible for all actions inspired by his writings. In fact, you point to several quotes from the Bible to back up your argument. The same Bible that apparently inspired crusades that killed thousands, massacres like the ones against the Jews in Russia, and holy wars between rival popes and kings that have killed hundreds of thousands.
Well, you see, Greta, God can't be held responsible for the way people misinterpret his words. But Mr. Goethe can.
I guess you've heard all the controversy this week about that poor young boy in Geneva killing himself over a woman. Apparently, some folks blame Goethe because he wrote a book in which a young man kills himself over a woman. But the way I see it, it's not Goethe's fault if a boy tries to kill himself. The responsibility lies squarely with the woman. I almost once died over a woman, but the doctor put some mercury on the sores and that cleared it up. Now I'm fine, except that the cartilage in my nose seems to be disintegrating. I also forget things. That reminds me of something I read in the news. Apparently, a young boy in Geneva killed himself over a woman.
Goethe wrote The Sorrows of young Werther when he was young and recovering from his first great hopeless romance. He said he wrote it in 4 weeks almost unconsciously, like he was sleepwalking. For Goethe, writing was cathartic. It purged all that depression from his mind and unfortunately put it into the minds of some of his readers.
Johan, hello.
Hi.
How you doing?
Great.
Oh, you are? Then I guess you haven't read this book. The Sorrows of Young Werther.
No, I haven't.
Because I read it, and I mean, great book. I love it because it's such a downer.
Yeah, downer. Yeah, I heard that.
It ends with Werther killing himself. He's in love with a married woman, which we've all been through, and he'll never have her, so he puts a gun to his head.
Oh, God.
And they say when people finish reading it, they want to go out like Werther. It's crazy!
That is crazy.
But I love it. I can't help it. I love the book so much, I lent it to my friend Liesel to read. And you know, you loan something to a friend, you always kind of worry, what if they don't take care of it? And Liesel's one of these people. Well, finally I get the book back. And look at this.
Oh, my God.
I know, it's a bloody mess.
Oh, did she commit suicide?
Oh, no. Liesel was just reading it at the doctor. She was there for a bloodletting. But still, this Werther mania, it's everywhere. You can't get away from it. And look at all this neat stuff they have out.
Yeah, that is neat. Yeah.
They have an entire tea set with scenes from the book. This one's my favorite. It shows Werther trying to kiss Lottie, and she freaks out on him. But don't use them if your guests haven't read the book.
Because it'll ruin the ending.
Yeah, and their appetites.
Robert, what did Italian physicist Luigi Galvani bring close to a dead bullfrog's legs to make them twitch?
A picture of a pretty lady frog?
A static electric charge. Jerome, what occurred in England after Parliament repealed all the laws that fomented hate against Catholics?
Oh, peace and love and understanding.
Riots that killed 500 Catholics. Daniel.
Well, let's really hear it now for Friedrich Gottlieb Klopstock and his Odes. Really, really fine poetry there. We do enjoy those German irrationalists. And now stay tuned because we have a really big show coming up. The Comedy of Punch. On his own for the first time without Judy. Then we have Bobo the Dancing Bear. And for the young people, for the first time in New York, the music sensation that's sweeping Europe, Handel's Messiah.
And guess what? Everyone in our studio audience is going home with the set thanks to our friends at Flimsy's Fine China. But you know, suicide is a serious issue. Really, it is. It makes me sad just to hear about it. I mean, there's so much to live for these days, like constant revolution, and there's more food, less famine, and some of those incurable diseases are on the decline.
Right, incurable.
So I wrote a song about suicide. Want to hear it?
Sure.
Suicide, oh suicide,
hate kids, it's not the way to die. Want a love life, but you have none. Suck it up and drop the gun. You won't be buried in a cemetery. If you do, Harry Carey. No priest or church or holy ground, just an unmarked pit outside of town. Only God can take your life through pox or war or daily strife. Don't be like that poor Werther schnook in that Wolfgang Goethe book. Don't go away, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe's coming up next.
In 1774, German author Johann Goethe published his short novel, The Sorrows of Young Werther. In it, a young man doomed by his love for an unobtainable woman romantically splatters his brains on the wall with a pistol. The novel had it all: love, passion, violence, gore. It even had merchandising. But Goethe was tired of all the attention from this one book. The man destined to become Germany's all-time literary giant didn't want to be a one-hit wonder kind.
He's a poet, playwright, and he's still knocking them dead with his book, The Sorrows of Young Werther. You love him, and so do I. Please welcome Johann Wolfgang von Goethe! You don't want to do that. I have a little problem with danger. Hiya, Goethe. How's it going?
Well, it's going great.
You look great, you cutie patootie.
Well, thank you. You know, I just got back from Italy. I had to get out of Germany for a while. I mean, after Werther came out, things just were so crazy.
Sure, the hype, the fans, the suicides.
You know, it was so bad that I had to travel in disguise. Just this constant scrutiny, with everyone wanting to talk about Werther and how much it meant to them. I couldn't take it anymore. Thank God it's over with, because, I mean, well, listen, I've written a new play. I've got a new outlook on life. You're looking at the dawn of a new Goethe, a whole new man.
So you're, kind of like the sequel to Goethe?
Well, you could say that, yes.
So what everyone's wondering, Johann, is, does the sequel to Goethe come with a sequel to Werther?
Well, I'm sorry, I can't say he does, no.
Aw, not even a prequel.
No, but he does come with this.
Oh, what's that?
For you, it's a copy of my new play, Iphigenia and Taurus.
Why, thank you, I love it. Isn't that great? Yeah. Oh, well, I will always cherish this. Kidding, Goethe guy, I'm kidding. I love it. Thank you so much. You know what? I've got a gift for you, too.
Well, that's very kind of you, Rosie.
But you gotta close your eyes and hold out your hands.
Okay, sure.
Okay, there it is. Open your eyes.
Oh, it's one of those Werther
action figures. Isn't that great, Johann? This one's called, hang on, I can't read the back. Made in Dresden. No. It's number 16, post-suicide Werther. Look at the details on that head injury.
Oh, God, yes, it's lovely in a revolting way. Although, you know, it's funny that you should mention the word details, because in my new play...
You know, my kids just love these guys. And I think it's great. Anytime that action figures can help children explore the world of literature.
Close the mouse for a moment here. Let's move on to our next topic. The Sorrows of Young Werther.
Oh, I'm sick to death of this topic.
Okay, but no killing yourself until we finished discussing it, okay? Okay, now there were more teen suicides this week. Is it time Goethe went to the bonfire?
The book or the author?
How about both? Yes, me, most books should be banned.
Oh, let's get real here. I mean, a book can't cause suicides. It's like saying that the Bible gives people ideas about killing and stealing and adultery.
Well, hey, you're the one that said it, but I must say there's a lot of inappropriate material there. Am I right, Bill?
Oh, huh? Don't look at me. I just read it for the epistles.
All right, let's see what's in the news. Then Prince Joseph ended his announcement about the new ban on torture by dramatically pulling out his spleen and hurling it at the assembled crowd. Ben agreed, patriotic, moving, and heartfelt. He felt sure this beer ad campaign would be a big hit. Wolfgang dreamed of leaving all his financial woes behind in Salzburg and heading to London to make it a musical comedy. George's team didn't seem excited that they were winning the annual Delaware punt race.
Tonight, the ongoing famine in India has become so severe, cannibalism is widespread. With thousands of unburied dead, it has inspired the name the Skull Famine. In Russia, the persecution of millions of Jews continues under Catherine the Great. In Japan, a volcano named Unsen has exploded, killing 50,000. And that outbreak of plague in Egypt has now claimed 800,000. But first, closer to home, another European has apparently been driven to suicide by the writings of Wolfgang von Goethe.
How many slaves a year are being imported from Africa?
Lots.
100,000. Teresa, which religious group was expelled from Poland this year?
The Jews?
No, the Jesuits. Robert, what sexually explicit fad is taking Vienna by storm?
Nudity?
The waltz.
NBC News reported college students in England and Germany were misbehaving by lighting their internal gases. It turns out that it was really a serious attempt to develop internal lighting using gas. NBC regrets any confusion this may have caused.
How would you feel about answering some questions from our audience?
Oh, well, all right, certainly.
Let's bring out two of Goethe's biggest fans. Fritz Klaus, come on here.
No.
Mr. Goethe, remember us from January 17th, 1777, the Radistratsch, Munich?
January 18th, 1777, the Kirkroder, Munich.
January 21st, 1777, the Bushes, outside your house.
Yes, how could I forget?
First, I just want to say how much I loved your Werther book, and I really identify with Werther because I tried to commit suicide too, because there was this girl that I liked. Oh, romantic. Just beautiful. It was like,
Rosie, you had it. This girl was so hot and so unavailable.
Hello.
Let's just stick to the suicide.
Yeah, okay. Anyways, when I found out that I couldn't have her, I picked up a rifle and I put in like a double charge of gunpowder and some wadding.
And a bullet, of course.
Of course, a bullet, hello. And you've got to put in the balls and then some more wadding, and then you tamp it down with one of those rod things, and then you pull back the hammer so you can see that the flint was nice and straight, and then I put it to my head, and I was ready to blow my wadding and balls, and I pulled the trigger.
What happened?
It didn't go off.
Well, there's another tragedy.
Coming up, the sorrows of old Goethe. In the late 1700s, the Western world was racked by revolution and insurrection. The nobles and church were losing power. Meanwhile, socialism and atheism were on the rise. Farm workers were moving to factories and then being replaced by machines. Crime and alcoholism were rampant, mobs ruled, utopias were declared, and naysayers were beheaded. But despite the storm and stress, some people managed to stay focused on the important questions like, where can I get a pair of those really cool yellow pantaloons?
Mr. Goethe?
Yes?
You know when that girl drowned herself in the river behind your house in Weimar? And she had a copy of the Sorrows of young Werther in her pocket? And you gave money to the girl's family because you felt so awful?
Yes.
I thought that was really cool.
Yes, your question.
Oh, yeah, right. Don't you think it's kind of funny how she had the Sorrows of young Werther with her? Like, it was almost like she was trying to drown her sorrows?
Oh, yes, that's very funny. Werther of Voltaire.
Yeah, feel free to use that one.
You see, Rosie, this is why I want to try and get away.
We have time for one more question.
Okay. Okay, in your book, you said that Lotta didn't attend Werther's funeral because, like, she was still in shock from Werther's suicide. And I just want to know, like, how's Lotta doing? Like, is she getting better, or?
No. You see, Lotta is just a character in my book.
No, she's not. Lotta's short for Charlotte. Charlotte Buff?
Yeah, she's the girl you fell in love with. Only she married that other guy.
Yeah, everyone knows that. I mean, that's the hard evidence to prove that, logically, life isn't worth living.
No. Lotta was based on Charlotte, but she's also a composite of other women I fancied. So I really don't have an answer to your question because Lotta doesn't actually exist. She's a fictional character in a fictional book by me.
Well, in that case, on page... Right here, on page...
Where is it?
Well, in that case, then, what sense does it make for young people like ourselves who are inspired by your book? What sense does it make for us to kill ourselves?
Well, that's the thing. It doesn't make any sense at all. It's a story. It's a novel. It's fiction.
To say that I've spent 5 years of my life dressed up as a made-up character, going to Werther conventions and writing erotic fan fiction, dreaming that someday my life would be completely without hope, so I would have to kill myself? Are you saying that is all for nothing?
Essentially, yes. You see, this is what age has taught me, that there is something to live for, that life is not hopeless.
Are you sure that there isn't even the itsy bitsy, teeny weeniest chance that it could be hopeless?
No.
There's no doubt that the Sorrows of young Werther was connected with a number of suicides by men and women all over Europe for 20 years or more. Guess some people read slower than others. But in time, the whole romance of suicide fell out of fashion. Europeans were more excited by the new vogue, political and industrial revolution. Goethe himself had long since moved on, and the Sorrows of young Werther was history. But for readers who took a page from Goethe and ended their sorrows like Werther, history bites.
I'd like to thank the publishers at Random Hut because everyone in the audience gets to go home with a copy of Werther. Also, they'll receive a free loaded pistol, courtesy of Flintlocks R Us. Goethe, thanks for joining us. We'll certainly have you back again. It's like we got a speed reader in the audience.
Not anymore.